After recording the following footage, I thought it would be wise to put a warning here that due to the topic of this video being bullying, that this may be quite emotional. If watching this video brings up any concerns, or you want to just talk to someone, you can talk to a close friend, a therapist, counselor, or a pastor, or alternatively, you can take an anonymous phone call to an organization such as Helpline. We can talk to a therapist or counselor anonymously. Thanks for watching the video, and God bless you all. G'day Internet, Diction here. Recently, there's been a very upsetting tragedy that happened very recently, where a 13-year-old boy from Brisbane took his life due to constant bullying. And this story really stood out to me because of just one very specific detail. The fact that his mother said that that his favourite saying was, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And the bullying that this kid was facing, largely it was verbal. And he kept, you know, reciting this saying over and over, and yet it all became too much, and he took his own life, which is an absolute tragedy. Now this young boy, he was bullied because he was gay. Now I'm not, whatever your beliefs are about alternative sexualities, I don't personally believe in practicing a homosexual lifestyle, but, you know, regardless of what someone did or has done, or just really what he just admitted to, he just admitted that he struggles with attraction to other guys. You cannot bully someone for that. You cannot bully someone for any reason. Bullying is just wrong. Even if a convicted murderer, you know, you bully him, you say, oh, you're such a low person, you're scum, stop being so, you know, you're a murderer. That's still very wrong. You know, bullying for any reason is wrong. And just, the purpose of this is I want to address just this lie that has been spread. You know, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt me, because words hurt. Words definitely do hurt. And I believe that just that saying is just an absolute lie. And it's a lie that he kept telling himself over and over and over, and just for so many years he was trying to fool himself into believing it. But I think in the end, he just realized he just couldn't keep fooling himself anymore, and he made a decision, not a very good decision, but, you know, the fact that someone was driven to do such a permanent decision, you can't take that back. And yet just kept telling themselves for years, and kept telling others for years, that words would never hurt them. It just shows that it's just this lie. And I believe as a Christian that the Bible is biblical truth. And so I just wanted to share a Christian perspective on this, that, again, I'm not promoting, like sexuality or alternative, but, regardless, bullying is wrong, full stop. And I just wanted to, and it was the fact that this kid, kept saying sticks and stones is why, that's what really got my attention. So I wanted to give, some attention to just how much of a lie that really is. Sorry, I'm struggling to sorry. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that I believe that the gospel is truth. And this is what the gospel has to say about words. It says here, I've got it up here, that the tongue is also a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. That's a very, very, very different take than the one by Sticks and Stones. Like, it doesn't literally mean the tongue is set on fire for hell, but that's kind of like an exaggeration, a hyperbole, to show, just to emphasize how destructive the power of your words can be. And those particular scriptures there in James, the book of James, is very, very relevant in terms of an argument, because when you realize who James was, the author of this book, he was a very influential leader of the early church, and he was also the brother of Jesus himself. And, on top of that, I believe that all the scriptures are God-inspired and God-breathed, and I believe that Jesus is truth, that God is truth, He's the way and the life. And that if the truth is that the tongue is set on fire from hell, then by default, this sticks and stones saying is a lie. And we need to stop saying this stuff like sticks and stones, because, when they said that this kid reportedly said that, I'm like, where did he pick that up from? I wonder, who was saying that to him that made him start saying it? Did he reveal to a teacher that he was being bullied? And then they say, oh, sticks and stones. Because in the end, he kept saying sticks and stones for so long, but it didn't stop him from taking his own life. And so we need to stop saying it. Sticks and stones is victim blaming. It is shifting the blame from the bully to the victim, which is completely wrong. It lets the bully go off scot-free. And why kids hate bullying so much is because when you're bullied, you feel disempowered. You feel like someone can just give you a hard time and there's nothing you can do about it. And so when you muster up the courage to tell a teacher, hey, this kid's really making life difficult for me. If you're a teacher or a parent or just an adults, you need to just understand this. Sticks and stones is just a lie. It is a huge lie. I know I was bullied myself personally from pre-primary all the way up to year 12. I only just graduated last year, and I have to say, this year at uni that I just finished, the first half of it was difficult transitioning to how uni works, but the second half of it was probably one of the better half of years that I've had in my short lifetime, because I didn't have to deal with bullying. That's the honest truth. And the thing is, when a kid reveals to himself that he's being bullied, or he or she is being bullied, you need to actually address this, because it can be very embarrassing for a child to actually reveal that they're being bullied. It can be very, very embarrassing, and it can actually take up a lot of building up of a lot of courage to actually tell someone, to tell an adult they think they can trust. And when that adult says to them, sticks and stones, what does that say to the kid? You know, oh, don't try and tell an adult again. Don't try and tell an adult that this is what's happening. You know, because it'll get thrown back in your face. You know, like, if you tell that to a kid's going to start thinking, well, I'm not going to tell anyone. And the thing is, kids are just, with bullying and with these kind of issues, I think that in general, they are not taken seriously enough. Kids are not taken seriously enough in these issues. If someone is constantly verbally attacking you in the workplace, you can take legal action, send them to court for harassment. But in the schoolyard, if someone verbally attacks you constantly, they might get in trouble if a teacher decides that they want to take action, or that, you know, this is not me hating on teachers or bagging on teachers or on adults in general, but realize when a kid, even, you know, 17, 18-year-old kids in year 11 and 12 are not being taken seriously when they're saying this guy or this girl is constantly harassing me. If they were just a year or two older, and if they were in the workplace, that would be a legal situation. That could be taken to court. You could be sued for that. And yet, at school, oh, it's just kids being kids. Boys being boys. Or girls are just like that. It's rubbish. And when we have that kind of mentality, and when kids ask for help and you're not giving it, this kid for years was telling himself, words won't hurt me, words can never hurt me, words can never hurt me. Until he couldn't fool himself anymore. And you just got, if a kid tells you that they are being bullied, it needs to be addressed. And you need to do it properly. Don't just listen, actually. Just sometimes the best thing you can do is just listen. Not just hear, you can listen. You don't even have to you don't have to fix their problem for you. Or for them, sorry. Sometimes just listening and showing attentively and with an intention of listening and showing that you're listening, and, you know, repeating back what they say to you to make sure there's a common understanding. A lot of times that actually helps people. When you just listen to someone, that a lot of the time that helps them think about the situation more clearly. It helps them to organize their thought, and a lot of times they can come up with the solution themselves because you have actually taken the time to listen to them, and they've had the opportunity to get everything that's all just hanging on their chest and bring them down. They're able to get it out. You know, when a kid comes up to you with trouble, don't go, oh, well, you need to get yourself out of this situation. What have you done? Well, Yahtzee, bingo. No, you know, good one, Sherlock. Of course they know they need to get themselves out of that situation. They've come to you for help. And, you know, another approach people use is trying to distract it. Oh, don't worry about it. Let's do something else right now. That's all well and good in the moment, but like once they go back onto the schoolyard and that bully gives them trouble again, the problem still is underlying. There's still an underlying problem. And this is literally driving kids to suicide. And it just blows my mind that people just still think that sticks and stones is a appropriate response to give to someone when they reveal that they are being verbally harassed, constantly harassed. I tell you that words hurt. School was difficult for me. Luckily, I'm generally quite a cheerful, happy person. You know, the whole nature versus nurture thing about personality. I think my kind of cheerful and happy personality is very much like a genetic and a nature thing, because at nurture, at school, I was constantly getting bullied almost every day. Like 5 days a week, I had to walk to school. Didn't expect to get emotional. I would have to walk into the schoolyard knowing that I'm going to go to class and this person and that person is going to see me. And the first thought that they're going to think is, what can I say to make Jamin's life? What can I say to make his life difficult today? And it was just thinking about like how my mum would say to me that she's honestly the reason I was able to finish school and I didn't end up like this kind of kid is because the adults around me took me seriously. And you know, my mum, she told me that I think it was around year 6 or 7, like just around the transition kind of years for high school, that my mum just, she told me that she just said I was really brave because that I would just, while the other kids would like wag and like, you know, that I would go into class and try to learn, even though I knew that when I went to class, there would be kids in there that just wanted to give me a hard time. And that's why I didn't end up like that kid. Because when my parents and the other adults around me saw that I was hurting, they actually recognized, hey, words hurt. Words definitely hurt. And I'm just really thankful that I'm thankful that just I went to a school that took bullying seriously. I went to a private Christian school where, you know, bullying was taken a little bit more seriously. If I didn't go to the school I did, if I didn't have the family that I did, if the adults in power did not intervene the way they did, I was heading nowhere. I had bad self-esteem at some points. I had bad grades at school. And the reason I didn't end up like this kid is because the adults around me took the time to realize that I was struggling, that the words were hurting, that words could hurt,
and they did something about it. And I got off pretty lucky. I got off very lucky. I know that there was a girl in my year who, me and her were bullied by this same guy. This guy was, he would just rip into me every day. Like, of all the people, I can actually remember almost, yeah, I can remember every bully that, like, would consistently and constantly bully me. I can remember all of them. And there was, like, at least 1, 2, you know, these are getting past, you know, 13, 15 kind of numbers. Thankfully, a lot of them have grown up, and one guy was actually so good recently. I was trying to, like, you know, start a project for a hip-hop album I wanted to release, and I tried to get a Kickstarter for that. It failed. It didn't work out, but I'm still hopeful that I'm going to get that out. But this guy saw it and said, hey, like, he left my school before graduation. He went to a different school around year 9, year 10, and he talked to me kind of towards the middle of this year and said, hey, you know, I really liked the thing that you put up for the hip-hop album and how you talked about your struggles with school, and I'm sorry that I gave you a hard time, and I've, you know, really searched for God, and he's really softened my heart and stuff. And this guy, like, honestly, he pledged $250 towards the album. Because the Kickstarter project failed, he didn't, you know, if you don't make the target, the money, you don't have to donate the money. But the fact that he just promised $250, like, that is just, honestly, the fact that he was willing to, like, put a pledge for that is really amazing. I'm getting a bit off topic. I need to get back to what I was saying. What I was saying was, yeah, there was one guy that would really rip into me. I understand though he does has some family issues. He did come from a broken home. That's something I didn't have to deal with. So, you know, he's obviously hurting and struggling as well. One day when he just, you know, exploded, let it out, because I confronted him and said, hey, just back off. He actually got really upset, and he just, yeah, I'm not going to name names here. Anyway, few years, yeah, into high school run, he got into trouble, and he left my school and went to a school next to ours, which was a public school. And this other girl in my year also went there, and he ripped into me pretty badly. Lucky for me, he moved, but unlucky for this girl I know. She's a friend of mine. They moved to the same school, and he bullied her so much. A lot of it was verbal, so much that she developed, like, post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, how does that not... If that was a workplace, if that happened in a workplace, if an employee developed post-traumatic stress disorder because another employee was constantly verbally harassing her, that would be a huge lawsuit. But because it was in high school, she just had to deal with the fact that she developed a mental health disorder. Like, just how does that... I'm getting a... Yeah, I think I'm going to end the video pretty soon here, but I just want to just let people know, just if you are still saying to people when they're revealing to you that people are being mean to them and people are saying stuff that really hurting them, and you still say sticks and stones, get over yourself. Seriously. That is not an acceptable or valid response, or telling someone to get over it. You don't know what it's like being them. I know what being bullied for being different is like with because I stood out because of my, I've got mild autism and I've got ADHD and I'm still quite functional, but, you know, socially I was just a bit odd, a bit different. Not very different, but enough that I stood out, and just words hurt. Stop telling children, stop telling kids, stop telling just young adults even. Stop patronizing them and stop putting them down and trying to minimize and belittle what they're going through. Because when you do, kids like that 13-year-old who over and over and over tried to fool himself into believing that. Eventually he couldn't fool himself anymore. I'm going to leave this, I guess I'm just going to finish this here. I didn't expect to get so emotional. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I love you all. God loves you all. God bless you all. See you in the next video. Check yous later. Sorry, I just wanted to add, if there are any kids that are going through these type of struggles, just know that there is a God who loves you, and that, you know, it says in the Bible that His thoughts for you, His good thoughts for you, are as endless as the sands on the shore. Like, just to think about that. Imagine just thinking about just someone that that one person in the world that you love the most, and just try to take a handful of sand and just take a piece of sand off, and like for every piece of sand, try and have a good thought about them, right? You know, it would be pretty difficult. It would be an impossible task. But God says, the creator of everything, of heaven and earth, you know, the highest being, thinks so much of you that he spends eternity thinking about you, and just so many good thoughts about you. And he knows, because he created you. And God doesn't make mistakes. Just know that you are loved. If anyone tells you that you're ugly, God says you're beautiful. Or if you're worthless, God says, no, I see great worth in you. You are worth more than precious gems and jewels. That's what it says in the Bible. And I believe it to be truth. Anyone that tries to tell you that you're worthless is wrong. Because it says in the Word of God that greater is He who is in me, Jesus, than the one in the world. And when Jesus and the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit say, that person, I love that person. Anyone who disagrees, there's no dispute. You can't argue against the Lord of heaven and earth. And he loves everyone. He loves each and every one of you. Thanks, guys.